it's the end of the first week here on my third game of Waning Crescent Shattered Cross. What happened? Well, the Ottomans, as explained, played 3 cards from their starting hand and reached this far, so 2 stacks going that far. They're hiding the fact that they've got 2 siege batteries and each of those one's a basilisk. The Christians played cards essentially, I'd forgotten on the setup to roll for breaches because the Christians hadn't finished simulate. Christians not finishing all their defences, so I rolled for those. We have a few scattered ones, none over there. There was 2, 3 here. Anyway, in the play of the starting hand cards, the Christians were able to remove 2, and then they played a card. So after the Ottoman passed, the Christian retaining some cards in his hand, and the Christian played a card and managed to remove another breach, a breach repair attempt there. And then they passed back to the Ottomans. The Ottomans essentially moved up a force to actually here of these markers just are the other side of these markers. You can use either side. These just have a nice kind of trench graphic, so you can pretend they've got their siege trenches coming up, something like that. Anyway, they don't actually have any effect on play like that. So they got a force of 33 SPs, which are their maximum stacking of levies here, and they used their siege tower to try and scale here. Of course, the Christians had their incendiaries, and on the scaling table, the Ottomans rolled a 7, -3 because of their siege tower, brings it to a 4, so their scaling was successful. They rolled a 5 on their losses, so they had 50% losses. But the incendiary card the Christians played doubles that, so they had 100% losses. And the attackers' losses, the defenders' losses, worked out at the attackers' losses in 1d10 times 10%. The Christians rolled 10, so that's minus 100% losses. So the Ottomans lost everything. Christians lost nothing. I think that might be the last time, in this game at least, that the Ottomans perform a siege attempt. And so now it's the end of the week. The Christians are keeping 4 cards. The Ottomans have 2 left. So these are the events played in that first week. The Ottomans played this Christian sort of squadron sails up. Was a bit humiliated. The Christians lost 1 morale point. Then the Christians played that, which was partially cancelled by that. And then the Christians played 2 of these. So those are all removed from play. And there's one more, which I placed over here as a reminder. Don Garcia demands that St. Elmo is held. So the Ottomans played this. Essentially, that it means that if that Christian relief force out, which is now on here, if that reaches here before the 6th week, it can't, essentially, that the last one is held back. Oh, yes, no, sorry, it can, but the game, normally the game would end at that point, so if they're here, the game doesn't necessarily end. And there's also, this is the clincher for me at least, also 50% chance that no relief force arrives, because the relief force, even at that early point in the game, could be quite big. It's not nice for the Ottomans to see. So that's what's been played. All the other cards, these were played as actions. These ones are discarded from the Christian hand, and the end of the week card goes back into the deck, and they will be shuffled. What I hadn't mentioned from the end of the week is the relief force is building up in Sicily. So this 1 knight here represents 1 knight SP, 1 sergeant SP, and 10 men-at-arms SPs. this should have been done before I shuffle the cards back in strictly, but anyway, we roll for these walking wounded. For the Ottomans, 50% plus 1d10 times 10%. I rolled a 2, so that's 70% of these are permanently lost. So the Ottomans lose 21, 23 strength points immediately, and of their levies, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 go back to the Ottoman camp. The rest of the forces waiting there. Now we don't need to roll for plague yet, but the Ottomans do get the difference in 2 of these in supply points. That means they get 2 supply points. They now have 12. I think I should have spent some for that scaling attempt. I'll check that. I have to check to see if the Sanglia supplies are reduced. Yes, they're reduced by breach repair attempt is removed, so you can only attempt to repair once a week. Cards are put back on the deck, and then we check for morale adjustments. There was no Ottoman bombardment this week. So the Christian morale, which had fallen down to 6 through card play, goes up 1. Oh, that was because of the Romagas and because of the scaling attempt. The morale adjustments for the Ottoman. Every week it goes up until the 26th of August. So the Ottoman morale had gone down to 6 because the card play goes up 1. They both started at 9. And then we check for honour adjustments. Okay, so there's no voluntary abandonment of attack, etc. Okay, so there's no honour adjustment, and there was a loss of honour, Ottoman honour here, because they reached a threshold. So that was a loss of morale. The Ottoman honour is very low already. They're going to have to do some work to bring it back up, or else they will never get a victory. So that's it. That's the end of the first week. So now we go into the second week. Essentially what happens is the Ottoman starts. He has these 2 in his hand. Now he draws those. He can draw as many as he likes. As soon as he stops and plays an event, he can't draw any more. And at any point he can pass over to the Christian. If as he draws an end of week card is played, the week ends, and we go through the end of the week process that I just showed you again. So the Ottoman really needs to plan what he's going to do. He can instantly move folks up here. He needs to start making breaches. Ideally he wanted to get some batteries here and some here, then they can use crossfire to crumble that wall, and then later on that battery can move up there and help crumble this wall, because it's not so far to, if they brought up, they could perhaps bring a battery up here and have one here and put crossfire on this corner, but then obviously it's further to bring that battery over here, to harder to get crossfire from there. So I think it's just going to be a week of movement, or 1 or 2 weeks just of movement and sorting themselves out. So it's tricky, because you really probably what he would need to do is draw 3, maybe 4 cards maximum, 2 to be really safe, play 3 actions, say, then pass to the Christian. Christian might play some. If the Christian gets an end of week card, it doesn't matter. The play passes back to the Ottoman. Then they'd draw another sort of small amount, trying not to hit an end of week. So at the minimum, really, we want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They want to keep those 2 cards in hand. They're going to draw 3 now, and I'm going to see if I can be bold enough to draw any more. There it goes, end of week. But this is good news. This gives the Christians some reinforcements, and every reinforcement for the Christian is gold. So the Ottoman is going to keep that in their hand, and they are never going to let that go. Okay, because the Christians they had that 3 times in my last game, and Ottomans didn't even foolishly didn't try to keep the reinforcements out. The Christians just became so strong, partly because the Ottoman plague. Size, that's good for the Christian. Oh, that's good for the Ottoman. So he's going to keep that because we can keep 4 cards, and we do the end of the week process. So I'll end this video now, and the next one will be starting the 3rd week.